Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into a fascinating story from the golden age of tango. How one visionary leader and two very different singers came together to create a sound that, honestly, is just unforgettable.
So let's meet our first voice, Fernando Díaz. You can just feel the description here, right? A warm baritone, but with a bit of a tenor's edge. This guy had a powerful voice, full of character and personality. He wasn't just singing notes, he was telling a story.
And then, on the other side of the coin, you have Jorge Omar. The word that jumps out is crystalline. It's all about a delicate, clear, and elegant sound. If Diaz was raw power, Omar was pure melody.
So you have to wonder, right? How on earth did one orchestra manage to bring these two powerful yet totally different voices together? Well, let's get into it. This story of creative chemistry all starts with the man who was the architect of the sound.
That man was Francisco Lomuto. He was a pianist, a composer, and really a true powerhouse in the world of tango. He was the mastermind.
And when I say powerhouse, I mean it. The man was unbelievably prolific. We're talking over 950 recordings in just under 3 decades. That's a massive body of work that basically became the soundtrack for an entire generation.
But here's the key to understanding Lomuto. He wasn't just making music for people to listen to, he was crafting an experience. His goal wasn't to be super complex or artsy. Nope, his mission was crystal clear. Create the perfect sound for dancers, something with a good, steady beat that was just a pleasure to move to.
So you see, Lomuto was way more than just a musician. He was an institution builder. He knew his own limits, so he focused on what he did best, conducting and keeping that perfect, danceable rhythm. And he even had this cool musical signature. He'd often end his songs with a diminished 7th chord. It's a sound that kind of hangs in the air with a bit of tension before resolving. Really satisfying. Okay, so now let's meet the voices that brought his vision to life.
Every great orchestra needs those iconic singers, right? For Lomuto, especially in the 30s and 40s, it all came down to 2 guys, Fernando Díaz and Jorge Omar. So first up was Fernando Díaz. He joined back in 1931, and with that dynamic delivery of his, he instantly became the orchestra's star singer. He ended up recording about 170 tracks with them, which is more than anyone else.
But then, in 1935, Díaz left. And to fill those pretty big shoes, Jorge Omar steps in after winning a tough audition. His style was totally different, much more melodic and delicate, but, it was just as captivating. So this is the heart of it, right? Lomuto's orchestra was defined by these 2 completely distinct vocal styles, one right after the other. You had the powerful drive of Díaz and then the melodic elegance of Omar. It's like fire and ice. But what do you think happened when they actually came together?
Because this story isn't a simple case of one singer replacing another. Nope. In 1939, Díaz came back to the orchestra, and that's when a truly legendary partnership was born. And man, this collaboration was everywhere. They were cutting records together, they were on stage together, they even had their own little side project called Los Diablos Rojos. The blend of their voices created a sound and energy that was totally unique to Lomuto. But their most important legacy, the thing that really lasts, well, you'll find that exactly where Lomuto always wanted it to be, on the dance floor.
And this brings us to a really essential idea for any tango dancer today, and that's the concept of the tanda.
So if you're not familiar, a tanda is like a musical chapter in a night of dancing. A DJ curates a set of 3 or 4 songs that all have a similar vibe. And when it comes to playing milongas, that's the faster, more rhythmic cousin of tango, Lomuto's music is an absolute favorite. He's basically the king. But here's the crazy part. Given how popular his milongas are, you'd think he recorded tons of them, right? Well, take a look at this. Milongas make up a tiny, tiny 2% of his nearly 1,000 recordings. It's just a sliver of everything he did.
And that just shows you their incredible outsized impact. He didn't record many, but boy, the ones he did became absolute, timeless classics. They were built for dancing. And the reason they work so well, that all comes down to their structure. You see, a Lomuto tanda is like a perfect little story. It has this beautiful narrative arc. It starts out gentle and warm, inviting you onto the floor. Then the middle might pick up the pace, but it still feels relaxed and smooth. And finally, it often ends with this lively kick, giving you this super satisfying, energetic finish. It's storytelling with rhythm.
But for all this incredible art and this huge cultural contribution, there's a bit of a sadder side to the story. The memory of these amazing artists, especially the singers, faces some real challenges.
This idea here of unjust oblivion, it's a theme that comes up a lot when you look back at tango's history. The music lives on, played in milongas all over the world, but the stories of the people who created it, those can start to fade away.
Which really leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? The music is still here. It's still creating those perfect moments in tandas every single night. But making sure the stories of the people behind the sound are remembered, well, that requires a conscious effort. That's on all of us. Thanks for digging into this with me.